I really enjoyed the movie. I mean, to be honest with you, anything Francois does, I'm just sold. Anything. I love him so much. But what was the initial attraction to this project for you when you first got the script? What was it that drew you in?
Honestly, it was just because it was like the first French film I've ever gone up for, and I'm Belgian, and I sort of like grew up like loving and being in love with French cinema. So as soon as I got the opportunity to like audition for it, I was like, oh my god, absolutely, like yes. So yeah, I just got really excited and sent off self-tape, and then it was when I got like called back for the recall that I like put more thought into it, and like obviously like knew François cinema from before, and had like seen like Refam ages ago. So yeah, it was really like, I guess it was him that drew me to it.
Yeah, so what was he like to collaborate with? Because I have been lucky enough, I've interviewed him because he's so prolific. I've interviewed him about 5 times and he just has this kind of unwavering enthusiasm for, and this very pragmatic approach almost to filmmaking. I just wondered what he was like on set every day.
Yeah, I mean, he knows exactly what he wants. Like and for that he's brilliant, because he won't ever waste your time or like the rest of the team's time. He hates waiting, which is really funny because it's just like fun to be around, but it also means that you go really, really, really quickly. So it was the first ever film that I did. Like I've done a bit of TV, but it was the first ever film I did. So like it was kind of like a baptism of fire, because I was like, whoa, we just have to do everything super quickly and you have to always be on the ball. But that also means that he's like quite fun to do a film with. Like you're never really waiting around, and he's always like properly challenging you to do the next thing and like to move on or try something different. And in that way, like he's actually really fun to do, to like work with, and it feels like you're creating something together because he completely trusts you to do what you want to do. And then if something's not working, he'll like tweak it slightly, but he knows exactly what he wants, so he'll never like be mysterious about what he's trying to achieve. If you're not giving him what he needs, he'll be like, no, Philippine, change, and he'll be like, oh, okay, cool, great. Which is actually really fun to do, like work with, to be in that space. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess if you make a film a year, you've kind of got to be quite quick at everything you do, because I think he churns out, yeah, pretty much a movie every single year, and somehow they're always brilliant as well. But I was wondering about your French, and how are you completely fluent? Were you when you were on set and Francois was telling you what to do and stuff? Were you able just to take it all in like that, or were there ever moments when you were like, oh crap, he's talking too quickly?
Well, no, so I was born in Belgium. I speak French to my dad, so like hearing and listening to French is all right. It was mainly with the 2 boys when they were like chatting in between themselves, like because I speak French to my dad, the like lingo of younger people, I just did it. And there were points where I'd be like, oh, I'm really sorry, like I don't know what that means, or I don't know what that slang is, and they literally just be like, okay, you're really not cool with me. But so yeah, on set it wasn't a problem. There were like some like cultural references where I'd be like, what's that? And everyone would be like, you don't know who that is. I'd be like, okay, sorry guys, yeah, cool. But yeah, apart from like looking like a complete weirdo and not really cool, I always like understood what was going on, which is good.
It must be so good for you, and so you must be so thrilled to get that kind of first French movie under your belt, because just I guess when it comes to kind of going forward for roles, just now to be able to say I've done it, because I mean it's there's so many brilliant roles in Europe and as well as the UK, so I guess it opens up doors for you if you broaden your horizons and not just limit yourself to looking over here.
Yeah, totally. Like it's always been a dream of mine. Like when I was at drama school, it was always a dream of mine to be able to like work in Europe and in the UK. And like the fact that it happened so quickly after drama school, like I was never expecting that. And it's just really cool. They're really, really different types of cinema, in my opinion. And so like you're right, there are some roles that exist like in French cinema that you rarely see in the UK or in America. So yeah, like I'm really, really, just really grateful that I got to be in that film, and that now like I have an agent in Paris, and that I'm like auditioning on both like in both countries. It's honestly like a dream come true. It's so cool.
Yeah, because I'm quite surprised more don't give it a go. I mean, Kristen Scott Thomas does, Gemma Arterton has as well, but it just generally, just English actors or people based in the UK are so reluctant, it seems, to kind of just go and try and just learn another language or just try and make a movie somewhere else. Whereas, you know, it's the same with footballers as well. That we don't get many footballers playing abroad. I don't know what it is about this island. Anyway, so that wasn't even a question, that was just a statement. But yeah, I was just wondering about your background then. So obviously you said you were born in Belgium. So when did you kind of move here, and have you spent most of your life over here in the UK?
Yeah. So I sort of like grew up in the UK. My parents moved to England when I was like really young, like younger than like 3, like, I think like around 3. So like I did all of my school here. I grew up like here in Kent, but like all of our family are in Belgium and France, and we're really close with all of our family. So we would always go back because Kent's really close to the border. So we'd always just like for the weekend like go see my granny or like go see an auntie or an uncle. So I kind of like grew up culturally in between like Belgium and England. But yeah, I did all of my school here, so that's why I sound like this. But my dad spoke to me in French, so like luckily that's why I get to be in French films. But yeah.
So have you had the chance to kind of watch this at all on the big screen or share the experience with the cast and crew? Yeah, so you managed to catch it before COVID?
Yeah, literally just after lockdown. The UK was still actually in lockdown, I think. Oh no, because I left, so there can't have been, but like they were just breaking the lockdown, and Paris had been out of lockdown for like 2-3 weeks. And François was like, come see the film projections with the team and then also the premiere, and I was like, okay, cool. So I literally like locked down London where like everyone was wearing masks and there was no one on the streets, and then got to Paris and everyone's like out in the restaurants and like chilling out, and everyone's like socializing, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? But it was really cool because I got to see the film with the whole team, and we got to do like the premiere as well, which was really, really fun. And so yeah, it was such an amazing experience, kind of weird, but a really amazing experience to like have in a socially distanced cinema.
And what's it? I'm probably asking this because for myself, I'd find it mad. But then again, I haven't dared even attempt to be an actor, so it would be kind of surreal for me. But what's it like to see yourself on the big screen? Does it feel normal? I mean, obviously, this is your first kind of big movie. You know, the first thing you would have seen yourself in the cinema in. I just wondered when you come on screen, are you one of those people that kind of scrutinizes over your performance, or can you immerse yourself in the story, or do you just kind of look away? What's your reaction to watching yourself?
Well, so when I the first time I saw it wasn't on a big screen, and I honestly was like doing this, and I hated it the first time I saw it. I like couldn't watch it properly. I watched all of the other scenes like with the boys, and I was like, oh, great film. And then whenever I came on, I was like, oh, terrible, I don't know what's happening. But then like around the 3rd or 4th time I saw the film, I think enough time had passed as well, so I could really like distance myself from that, or from like the version of me who was playing in the like while we were filming. So I think actually it probably gets better with like time passing. But yeah, the first time I saw, first of all, my name in the credits, that was really weird. And then like the first time I saw my face on the screen, I was like, oh, that is so strange, like big version of me. And also because obviously I knew like seeing the scenes that were coming up, so I knew when my first scene was getting closer and closer, and I was literally just like sinking lower and lower into my seat. But so yeah, it's really weird, and I don't know if anyone ever gets used to it. Like that would be a strange thing to get used to, but I mean, maybe you do. Maybe like Meryl Streep just doesn't bat an eyelid anymore. But
I like the idea of Meryl Streep still watching her films like that.
yeah, like oh.
But have you watched it with your family yet? Have they seen it, or are you waiting for its kind of UK release to do that?
So I actually haven't watched it with any of my family members. My sister came to the premiere, but there were 3 premieres that we had to get to in the same night in Paris. So my sister watched it with a friend of mine, and then I saw her afterwards. But I haven't watched it with anyone in my family yet. But there was some like preview releases in Camden Market with Curzon, and I saw that with some friends, and that was the most magical thing. It was like all of my closest friends, we were all outside recently, like freezing cold, like in big coats, but it was really nice to like share that moment with them. And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to do that with my family now when it gets released here.
So have you always wanted to act? Is it something that you've kind of just decided you were going to do from a very young age, or is it something that's kind of grown over time?
I think it depends who you ask. If you ask my dad, he says that I've always wanted to do it, but it was more like when, or like I was in sixth form, or like 16, 17, and I kind of was just a bit like, oh, I don't really know what to do. Like at uni, I guess that's the thing that you should do. And then in like first year of sixth form, like a drama school, like a drama teacher assistant at our school was like, oh, we should all go to like the Fringe and like make our own play. And I was like, oh, okay, sick. So we all did that. We went to the Fringe. It was probably a terrible, terrible play. But we went to the Fringe for like a week. And then after that week, it was just like slogging, trying to get like 3 people in to come and see our terrible play that we'd made. But after that week, I was like, I want to do that for the rest of my life. So in my head, it's like when I was like 16, 17, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do. And I don't care if it's that much of a slog all the time. That's what I want to do. And it's thanks to that like teacher's assistant who then was like, okay, well, there are drama schools and like this is a thing, that like I knew how to like sort of go down that path. But yeah, it's like when I was 17, I was like, okay, cool, this is legit.
Because you mentioned that you kind of were a big sort of cinephile, sort of growing up, and a big fan of cinema. What sort of movies did you kind of grow up loving? I mean, what's your, to rephrase that question, what is your type of film? And you kind of get to sit down, you're in lockdown, you want to stick something on. What sort of thing do you gravitate towards?
Oh, that's hard because like in lockdown as well, you want to comfort yourself with a good film. So maybe, I guess now, like my favorite film right now is Portrait of a Young Lady on Fire.
Oh, so good. Yeah,
I mean, like that's my like ultimate favorite film right now. Before that, a French film that I've always loved. It came out, I mean, I wasn't super young when it came out, but Of Rust and Bone, I think is the English title.
Made me look at Katy Perry in a new way, that movie. So
yeah. But so yeah, but I mean, they're not like comforting lockdown films at all. I mean, I guess Portrait of a Young Lady on Fire is like epic, but I wouldn't watch Of Rust and Bone if I wanted to be like comforted in the depths of lockdown, like on a Wednesday evening.
So have you stayed quite creative in lockdown? Because I know lots of people have been doing kind of different things, because some people have just used it as an opportunity just to take some time out. I said at the beginning of lockdown I was going to learn French and I was going to learn the piano, and I haven't learned French and I haven't even brought a piano. So I've not done either of the things I set out to do. Yeah. Have you been more productive than me? Have you used this as an opportunity to do stuff creatively, or have you just kind of stick on Netflix and just wait for it to blow over?
No, so I get like weird cabin fever. Like I have to do stuff to stay sane. So I taught myself how to do a handstand. So nice. Yeah. Nice. And also like a group of us, my mates are also like really amazing. They kind of saved me during lockdown. There was like a group of people who made this like creative WhatsApp group where every single day some person would like post a little like 3-word or 4-word sentence, and then everyone would have to come up with a creative like response to it. So sometimes there were like amazing raps or like songs that people made, or like there was an artist who would like draw and paint in response to it. And then sometimes like I would make like stupid videos like around my house with my family members who were all like at work, and I'd be there like woohoo, and or like putting on weird costumes and things like that. And then also I like joined a friend of mine had a mate who was teaching guitar, like a pay what you can for every single day of lockdown. And so like for the first month and a half, I think I played guitar every single day. And that was so nice. I'd never met most of the people in that group, and just like having them all there on the screen every morning, being like, hi. I'm not very good at guitar, and I'm still not very good at guitar. But that was really amazing. And then after lockdown, we all met in a park in summer, and it was really emotional because it was like all the people that I'd spent lockdown with, basically, all there in my life.
But your next task is you've got to learn to play the guitar while doing a handstand. That's got to be your next task.
Yes, love that. Challenge accepted. Cool. Bring up my view. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, but talking of a big sort of pandemic, Station 11. See, that's my very shameless segue into that question. Obviously, it's very relevant. What can you tell me? Because I interviewed Nabhan last week on Zoom as well, and obviously he's a big part. And I just wondered if you could tell me a little bit about how your character fits into that series.
Yeah, my character is sort of the narrative that happened like 20 years after the pandemic has taken hold, and she basically doesn't know anything about our world, and that's like the thing that she represents in the series. I honestly not allowed. I don't know what I'm allowed to say or not say. This is so weird. But yeah, so that's how I'm being a bit weird. But no, yeah, she's like 20. She's 19, 20 years after the pandemic, so she's born a year after. And yeah, she's really cool. She's like completely different to the people who knew our world, and she doesn't know like internet or electricity, but she's also like still human and still great, and I'm really excited to like get stuck into that whole thing.
Does this feel a little bit like quiet before the storm for you in a sense? Because I mean, you've got this bit. That's going to be a huge TV series. Obviously, we'll get on to it in a minute. But the stage production, of course, this year, and all this kind of stuff that kind of is coming up. Does it feel a little bit like you're just, because at the moment, I guess you can probably just still wander into the pub in Kent and just go about your day. But there might be a time soon when you're in Tesco and someone's going to be like, hey, I've known you from the telly and stuff. And I just wondered if what you make of that side of things, because it's a kind of, whether people want it or not, it's a kind of inevitable kind of side product, isn't it? Or a byproduct of being successful and on telly in your profession.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think I've really thought about how the like being spotted thing is going to like affect me. But it does feel a bit like, yeah, I'm kind of, this version of my life is kind of the last time where I'm going to be living this exact version, like this quote unquote, I guess, like normal version of life. But like weirdly, when I was in Paris for like an audition, someone spotted me in a bar, and I like completely freaked out and got really excited that they spotted me. So I think I'm not going to be able to handle like celebrity lifestyle very well at all, even if it like, I don't think it will happen, or it might, but like in a very small version of it. But yeah, I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. I'm not cool, like I've said before, like I'm not cool in any way. I'm not cool enough to be able to be like, yeah, that's me. I'll just be like, yeah, hi, just try and make friends with everyone. But yeah, it does feel a bit weird also because the pandemic, like COVID, has really like elongated this space of time where like we're meant to be waiting. Like the shoot for Station 11 was meant to start in like May, I think, of 2020, and yeah, it's all just been like really pushed back. So it feels like this amount of time is sort of stretched out in a way that I wasn't expecting it to. And I think that's what's weirdest about it, is that I was kind of ready to be like, okay, cool, and like throw myself into it, and now it's just a bit like, I'm still just here.
Yeah, because I guess it's kind of an adrenaline, isn't there? Something it all just happens so quickly. But I guess you've just had this kind of long pause. Yeah. But it's true, because I remember, this is not meant to be just a name drop, but I knew Daisy Ridley from my childhood. So obviously, and I saw her on a bus in like North London, and this was when she'd made Star Wars. So she'd done everything that she had to do. So she'd shot it and made it, but the first one hadn't been released yet, The Force Awakens. So she was just on a bus, just going through like North, and no one said anything because that was like her first kind of. And I just remember thinking, goodness me, when she does this in 6 months, she'll be swamped because obviously Star Wars was about to come out, and it is that funny, weird in between phase where you've made the project, but it's not out there yet. But anyway, but I was wondering too. So obviously, I was reading about 4,000 miles. Is there like an update on that? Because obviously, that was supposed to be this year, I imagine. Do you know if it's going to be pushed to next year? Have there been any discussions about that?
I literally have no idea. As sad as that makes me, I literally have no idea like what's going on. Obviously, it's got to do with like theatres being able to open, and also like Timothée Chalamet is super busy. So I'm guessing that's like making it complicated. But yeah, I can't give you. I literally have no idea.
Yeah, that must have been quite. I mean, obviously, it's there's so many things are being stopped and paused, and there's all this disruption to our kind of everyday lives during this COVID. But from a personal point of view, that must have been such a shame because that production that was set to take place this year would have been such a big deal. So fingers crossed it does happen for you in the future. But had you got as far as like doing any rehearsals or anything with Eileen and Timothy?
Yeah, we were like 3 weeks into rehearsals, so it was like probably like a big thing. And it was amazing. Like the Old Vic is an incredible theatre, like it's one of the iconic theatres in London. It's always an amazing cast. Like Matthew Walker is an incredible director, so it was just kind of a bit like, whoa, as if this is happening right now. This is nuts, cool, great. And I was like, oh, it's way too good to be true. And it was. And so it just all came to a halt. But yeah, I mean, hopefully if it does happen again, I'll be able to like do it and we'll be able to just like pick up where we left off. And that would be like dreamy situation. So yeah, fingers crossed.
So my final question, and the kind of the obvious way to end any interview, is to ask what's kind of coming up. Have you got much else in the pipeline or anything you're allowed to discuss at this stage?
Right now, no, actually. I'm like doing loads of auditions, and I'm trying to get another project in Paris before I have to go off to shoot for Station 11. So yeah, that's like the aim, but right now nothing just yet. So yeah, working on it.
Yeah, well, based on what I've seen in Summer of '85, I'm sure you'll have plenty of good roles coming up. I feel like next year is going to be a big old year for you.
Yeah,
next time I interview, there's going to be about 10 publicists in the chat, just all hiding their videos, listening in. That's horrible. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure, and yeah, best of luck with the release. And I'll be keeping an eye on the news for 4,000 miles, and I hope that all comes back into fruition. And good luck with the shoot and stuff.
Cool. Thank you so much. It's good to meet
you. Nice to meet you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yeah.
Nice.